Welcome. So we're going to work through this question before us. It says, find two quadratic functions, f and g, such that f of 1 is equal to 0 and g of 1 is equal to 0, and f of 0 is equal to 10 and g of 0 is equal to 10, and both have a maximum value of 18. Okay, so this is what we've been given, and we need to figure out what our answer is going to be. We know that our answer is going to consist of two quadratic functions. Now, what exactly is this telling us? Like, for instance, here it says f of 1 is equal to 0 and g of 1 is equal to 0. Well, this here is saying that both quadratic functions are going to go through the point 1, 0. It's also telling me that f of 0 is 10 and g of 0 is 10, meaning both quadratic functions are going to go through 0, 10. And then lastly, both have a maximum value of 18. So that means that we don't know what the x value for this maximum is going to be, but the maximum refers to the y value, so y is going to be 18. These 3 points are shared points between the two quadratic functions that we're going to find. You don't have to, but you could graph this just to give yourself a bit of a visual of what you're doing. So here, this is telling me that I've got an x-intercept of 1, so let's put that in. This here is telling me I've got a y-intercept of 10. Let's put that there. And this here is saying that, somewhere here, somewhere when y is equal to 18, I have a maximum. Now, there are two quadratic rules that go through all of these points. I could have something that looks like this. It goes up, it goes down, and it goes like that. So let's call that f, because that's what they've given me. And perhaps the other one looks something like this. It goes up to my maximum, and it comes down. So that would be g. So as you can see, there are two quadratic functions that go through these 3 points. And what we want to try to figure out is what are these two quadratic functions. Now, as I said before, there are multiple different ways of going about this question. I'm just going to show you the way that I like best. Now, the question is what form of the quadratic rule are we going to use? Now, none of them are going to immediately jump out as being like an obvious choice. Like some we can immediately eliminate. And again, this is where I'm kind of talking through the question. Obviously, in an exam situation, you're going to want to go through it a bit quicker. But let's just go through it slowly. If I gave you the form like this, you know that this isn't going to work. Because in order to use this form of the quadratic rule, you have to be given two x-intercepts, and we've only been given one. So this one really just doesn't help much. I mean, there probably is a way of using it, but we're not going to do it. The other one we could think about is maybe just the general rule, right? We could just use this and then sub it in and use this. Now, this is possible to do it that way. And I have done so previously, but I think there's a far easier way, I believe, to go about it. So let's not look at this way. I think the best one to use in this case is our turning point form. Our turning point form looks something like this. Now, what information can we put in based on the points that we've been given? Well, what I know is that right here, these are my turning points here and here. Now, I don't know the full coordinates of them, do I? Because here, this is, x is 18, and here, this is, also x is 18. I don't know what these x values are, but I do know that the turning point has a y value of 18. So I can immediately come and replace this c with an 18 there. Now, I've used this piece of information. It's gone. I can't use it again. I've used it to fill in that c as 18. But now what I can do is I can create simultaneous equations with the other two that I've been given. So I'm going to create two simultaneous equations, one with 1, 0, and the other with 0, 10. So that means I'm going to come here and I'm going to say, all right, this is going to be 0 is equal to a1 minus b squared plus 18. And then here I'm going to put 10 into my y spot, 0 into my x spot. Now, if 0 goes here, I'm going to get negative b squared, right? Actually, let me do this slowly, not to lose anyone. I don't want to lose anyone. Like that, plus that, okay? Now, 0 minus b squared, well, it's just negative b squared, right? So it's just going to be a b squared is equal, plus 18. And then over here, what's this? If I rearrange this, it'll be negative 18 is equal to a 1 minus b squared. Okay, let's zoom in here because this is what we care about. Okay, so we've got these two things here. We've got this and this. And at the moment, you might be thinking to yourself, what on earth can we do with these things? I mean, it kind of looks a bit crazy. But what I would do here is I would solve them both for a. So I'm going to solve them both for a. So that means over here, I'm going to get negative 18 is equal to 1 minus b squared is equal to a. And then over here, I would get 10 minus 18. Now, sorry, 10 minus 18 is negative 8. So it would be negative 8 on b squared is equal to a. Because I minus 18, which gave me negative 8, and I divided by b squared. Perfect. Ooh, you can probably hear some sort of hooligan going past my house right now. Surrounded by hooligans where I live. No, not really. It's all right. All right, we continue on. So this is 1, this is 2. What we're now going to do is we're going to equate 1 and 2. We continue. So it's going to be negative 18 on 1 minus b squared is equal to negative 8 on b squared. Okay. Once we've done that, what's the next thing that we can do here? Well, let's cross multiply them. So I can get negative 18b squared is equal to negative 8 1 minus b squared. Then I'm going to get negative 18b squared is equal to negative 8 1 minus 2b plus b squared, close that, which is going to be negative 18b squared is equal to negative 8 plus 16b minus 8b squared. Then I'm going to rearrange this a bit. So I'm going to plus 8b over. So that's going to be negative 10b squared is equal to, actually, I'm going to plus it the other way. Let's go back. Because I know that eventually I want it to be positive b squared. So I'm going to go, this is 0. I'm going to plus 18b squared over. So it's going to leave me with 10b squared plus 16b minus 8. Oh boy. All right, now that we've done that, I need to factorize this, PSF. Remember, if you've got a coefficient in front of your squared term, you need to multiply it with the final term. So 10 minus that will be negative 80. 16, 2 numbers that I can multiply to get negative 80 and add to get 16. That's going to be 20 and negative 4. So that means I can now write this as 10b squared, oh boy, plus 20b minus 4b minus 8. Ugh. Then we keep on going, people. Now, I've got this, right? This here, I can take out a 10b out of, right? So that's going to be b plus 2. Because I'm taking 10b out. And then we continue on. Here, I'm going to take out negative 4. So I'm going to take out negative 4 and be left with b plus 2. So I'm using that one there. It's important that this and this are the same. If they're not the same, you've done something wrong. We continue on. So that means what I'm going to end up with here is 10b minus 4 b plus 2. Therefore, b is equal to negative 2. And b is also going to be equal to 4 on 10, which is 2 on 5. Okay, all right. So that means, therefore, b is equal to negative 2, or b is equal to 2 on 5. Now, I need to figure out what a is, remember? If we come all the way back here, I need to figure out what a is. Because I know what b is, and I think probably the best way to do that is just to sub it back into this one. I think this might be the easier one to sub it. Oh, yeah, none of them are ideal. Is there something easier I can no, these are the only 2 options. I think this is a better one to sub it into. We'll come down here, paste it. All right. Sub into this right here. So the way that you would write this is now we're going to sub b values into 2. See how I'm writing down what I'm doing. I'm trying to make it as clear as I can so that when my teacher is marking it, or, you know, in year 12, when you have an examiner marking it, they can be like, oh, I can see what this person is doing here. All right, so when b is equal to negative 2, that means what I'm going to end up with is negative 8 on 4 is equal to a. So therefore, I'm going to get negative 2 is equal to a when b is equal to negative 2. And then the other one I've got is when b is equal to 2 on 5. That's going to be negative 8 on, now if I put 2 on 5 and square it there, it's going to be 4 on 25 is equal to A. Okay, that's going to be 25 times 8 divided by 4. So this we can, we can pretty easily do that in our head. 8 times 25 is 200. 200 divided by 4 is going to be 50. So that means what I'm going to end up with here is negative 50 is equal to A when B is equal to 2 on 5. Okay. Wow. Okay, so we're nearly done here. We've got A is equal to negative 2, B is equal to negative 2, we've got A is equal to negative 50, and B is equal to 2 on 5. We need to create our quadratic rules now. Now, what are going to be our quadratic rules? Well, we just simply need to come back here, and we've got this. And we're going to sub it into this right here. And remember, the original question says we need to find what f of x is and what g of x is. Well, f of x is going to be, if I sub a into that spot and b into that spot, I'm going to end up with negative 2 x plus 2 squared plus 18. So that's one of them. And then I'll do the same for g of x. So I'm going to take this and plug it in there, this and plug it in there. That's going to end up with negative 50 x minus 2 on 5 squared plus 18. And we're done. That's a beast of a question. Not too tricky, just a lot of working there. But there you go. That's how you answer that question. Hopefully you found this helpful in doing questions like this. And I will see you in the next one. Look how long it is.